Ever wondered what kind of trouble you can get into with Prime delivery? We are diving deep into the gray market 24 gadgets that sit right on the razor's edge of legality. Some are spy tools used by private investigators, others are hacking devices disguised as toys, and a few are just straight up dangerous if used incorrectly. You can buy every single one of these right now, but how you use them, well, that's on you. Quick heads up, you can grab any of these directly from the links in the description below. Just remember, the prices mentioned are what they're going for right now in US dollars, but they fluctuate based on sales and stock. Stick around, because the gadget at number 4 is a pocket-sized anonymity tool that feels illegal just to hold. Number 24, Liquid Ass, $13. We are kicking this off with something that constitutes chemical warfare in a bottle. You might think this is just a gag gift, the kind of thing you buy for a prank war, but you are severely underestimating the sheer potency of the chemical compound inside this unassuming spray bottle. This isn't your standard fart spray that smells like rotten eggs and dissipates in 30 seconds. This is a highly engineered, military-grade stench designed to mimic the exact biological profile of decomposition and raw sewage. The reviews on this product tell the story better than any marketing copy could. We are talking about a smell so visceral and offensive that it triggers a primal flight response in the human brain. When you spray this, you aren't just creating a bad smell, you are creating a biohazard zone. It creates a physical reaction, gagging, watering eyes, and an overwhelming urge to leave the area immediately. In fact, medical professionals and military personnel have actually used this specific product to train for desensitizing themselves to gut-wrenching odors they might encounter in combat zones or crime scenes. That is the level of intensity we are dealing with here. The illegal aspect comes into play with how you use it. While owning it is perfectly fine, deploying it in a public space, a school, or a crowded office can legitimately lead to charges of disrupting the peace or even inducing panic. There have been recorded instances where schools were evacuated, and hazmat teams were called in because the smell was mistaken for a sewage line rupture or a gas leak. It lingers for hours, seeping into fabrics and ventilation systems. If you spray this on someone's porous car seat or a carpet, you have essentially totaled that interior for the next week. It is the ultimate tool for denial of area attacks, all for $13. Just be careful, because if the wind blows the wrong way, you are the first casualty. Number 23, M5 Stack Card Pooter Kit, $35. Moving from biological hazards to digital ones, we have a device that looks like a harmless toy from a sci-fi movie, but is actually a formidable hacking station that fits in your wallet. At first glance, this looks like a chunky calculator or perhaps a minimalist retro gaming console. It has a tiny screen, a compact keyboard, and a very distinct maker aesthetic. But inside this plastic shell lies an ESP32S3 chip, which is the heart of modern portable hacking. This device essentially bridges the gap between a development board and a cyber weapon. Out of the box, it's a tool for learning Python or running simple scripts. But the reason it makes this list is the open source community that supports it. Within minutes of unboxing, you can flash firmware onto this device that turns it into a Wi-Fi marauder. It is capable of scanning for networks, analyzing traffic, and performing de-auth attacks. A de-authentication attack is where this tiny box sends a packet to a router pretending to be your device, telling the router to disconnect you. It can knock security cameras offline, disconnect your neighbor's smart TV, or disrupt public Wi-Fi networks, all while you look like you're just playing a game on a weird calculator. Beyond Wi-Fi, it has an infrared emitter, meaning it acts as a universal remote. You can walk into a sports bar and turn off all the TVs, or mess with air conditioning units in waiting rooms. It also has a built-in microphone and speaker, allowing for audio recording or playback scripts. The scary part is the form factor. If you walk around with a laptop running Kali Linux, security guards get suspicious. If you walk around with the card pooter, nobody bats an eye. It represents the democratization of electronic warfare, putting the power to disrupt wireless communications into a $35 package that is completely legal to buy as an educational development kit. Number 22, Smith & Wesson Model 100 Handcuffs, $35. Most people assume that buying police-grade restraints requires a badge or a specialized license, but that is a complete myth. Anyone with a credit card can purchase the exact same steel restraints used by law enforcement agencies across the United States. These aren't the fuzzy novelty items you buy at a party store that snap if you pull too hard. These are fabricated from carbon steel, nickel-plated for corrosion resistance, and designed to completely immobilize an adult human. The Model 100 is the industry standard. It utilizes a double locking mechanism that is crucial to understand. In movies, you see people picking handcuffs with a bobby pin in 3 seconds. In reality, once that double lock is engaged, usually by pushing a small pin on the side of the cuff, the ratchet mechanism freezes. This means the cuffs cannot get tighter, which prevents injury to the detainee, but it also means the shim or pick needs to work much harder to disengage the lock. They are incredibly difficult to escape from without a key or specialized shim tool, and even then, it requires a high level of dexterity that most people lose when their hands are bound behind their back. The legality here is tricky. Possessing them is legal. Carrying them on your belt in public? That is where you enter the gray zone. If you are not security personnel, carrying restraints can be interpreted by law enforcement as intent to commit a crime, specifically kidnapping or false imprisonment. If you use them on an intruder in your home, you better be absolutely sure of the self-defense laws in your state, because if you detain someone improperly, you become the criminal. Yet, for $35, you can own a piece of hardware that symbolizes the absolute removal of freedom, stamped with the logo of one of the world's most famous firearms manufacturers. Number 21, Uniden R8 Extreme Long Range Radar Detector. Price to $699. We are jumping up significantly in price now, but for a very specific reason. This isn't just a gadget, it is an electronic shield for your car. The R8 is widely considered the king of radar detectors, and the price tag reflects the insane amount of technology packed inside. In the world of speeding and law enforcement, there is a constant arms race. Police use radar and LiDAR laser guns to catch speeders. Drivers buy detectors to find the police. The police then use radar detectors to find the drivers who are hiding. The Uniden R8 is designed to win that war. It features dual low-noise amplifiers, which allow it to pick up police radar signatures from miles away, often long before the police officer can even see your car. We are talking about detecting a speed trap around a curve, over a hill, or 3 miles down the highway. It differentiates between the various bands of radar X, K, and Ka band, and uses GPS technology to remember false alerts. So, if you pass a grocery store with automatic doors that emit radar waves, the R8 learns that location and won't bother you next time, keeping you alert only for real threats. But the illegal vibe comes from its stealth capabilities. In states like Virginia or Washington, D.C., radar detectors are illegal. If a cop suspects you have one, they can confiscate it and fine you. The R8 is built with stealth technology specifically designed to be invisible to the police RDD's radar detector, like the Spectre Elite. It is a device engineered to help you break the law by speeding while actively evading the technology used to catch you breaking the law. It gives the driver a godlike awareness of the electromagnetic spectrum around their vehicle, turning a highway commute into a tactical mission to avoid the blue lights. Number 20, Spybolt Hidden Container. $24. This is one of the most brilliant pieces of tradecraft available to the public, and it has a direct lineage to the Cold War. During the height of espionage between the USA and the Soviet Union, agents needed ways to pass information, microfilm, or poison pills without being detected. They used dead drops, everyday items that looked boring but contained secrets. The Spybolt is a modern reproduction of those KGB and CIA tools. To the naked eye, and even to the touch, this appears to be a standard, slightly rusted, heavy-duty bolt. It has the correct weight, the threading looks real, and it clinks against other metal, just like a bolt should. You could toss this into a toolbox filled with hundreds of other parts, and nobody would ever look at it twice. However, the head of the bolt is machined with reverse threading. This is a crucial security feature. If someone picks it up and tries to unscrew it curiously, they will instinctively turn it lefty-loosey, which actually tightens the seal. You have to know the secret, turning it clockwise to open the chamber. Inside, there is a small, water-resistant compartment. It's not huge, but it's perfect for the things you really don't want found. Micro SD cards filled with encrypted data, diamonds or precious gems, folded up high-denomination cash, or other illicit powders. It is the ultimate hiding spot because it relies on security through obscurity. A safe can be cracked, a locked box can be forced open, but a bolt? Nobody tries to break into a bolt because nobody assumes it's a container in the first place. It allows you to transport contraband in plain sight, potentially right under the noses of security checkpoints, provided they don't x-ray your toolbox too closely. Number 19, Alpha AWS 036 ACS Long-Range Wi-Fi Adapter, $25. If you have ever watched the show Mr. Robot and wanted to try your hand at actual network infiltration, this is the hardware you start with. Most people think a Wi-Fi adapter is just for getting better internet reception in their bedroom. The Alpha AWS 036 ACS is different. It is the legendary weapon of choice for pen testers, penetration testers, and ethical or unethical hackers. Standard Wi-Fi cards, like the one built into your laptop or phone, are designed to be passive. They listen for networks and connect to them. This Alpha adapter, however, utilizes a specific chipset that supports two critical modes: monitor mode and packet injection. Monitor mode allows the card to listen to every single packet of data flying through the air in your vicinity, not just the ones meant for your computer. You become a digital vacuum cleaner, sucking up data traffic from your neighbor's router, the coffee shop's public network, or a corporate office's secure Wi-Fi. Packet injection is where it gets aggressive. This allows the adapter to insert its own data into a network. This is required for cracking Wi-Fi passwords. You can force a legitimate user to disconnect from their router, and when their device tries to reconnect, your adapter captures the handshake, the encrypted data exchange that verifies the password. Once you have that handshake captured, you can take it offline and use brute force software to crack the password at your leisure. While possessing this adapter is 100% legal, using it to intrude on a network you don't own is a felony under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Yet, Amazon will ship it to your door tomorrow with Prime, labeled simply as a high-gain antenna. Number 18, USB Killer Pro Kit, $55. If the previous Wi-Fi adapter was a scalpel for surgical network strikes, this next item is a sledgehammer designed for total, irreversible destruction. You might see a generic thumb drive lying on a desk or dropped in a parking lot, and your instinct is to plug it in to see what's on it. That curiosity is exactly what this device weaponizes. It is not designed to steal data, install malware, or open back doors. Its sole purpose is to physically fry the hardware of any device it connects to instantly and permanently. The mechanism inside is terrifyingly simple yet effective. When you plug it into a USB port, it doesn't initiate a data transfer. Instead, it draws power from the host device, your laptop, smart TV, or even the infotainment system of your car and stores it in a bank of high-voltage capacitors. Once these capacitors reach a critical charge, roughly negative 200 volts, the device discharges that entire electrical load back into the data lines of the USB port. It does this in a rapid loop, charging and discharging continuously, multiple times per second. The result is catastrophic. Modern motherboards have surge protection on their power lines, but rarely on their data lines. The surge bypasses the fuses and goes straight to the CPU or the Southbridge chip, physically burning out the microscopic pathways on the silicon. We are talking about magic smoke, the smell of burning ozone, and a computer that will never turn on again. The Pro Kit version available online even comes with adapters for Lightning, USB-C, and micro USB, meaning it can kill iPhones, Androids, and tablets just as easily as a PC. It is sold as a testing device for hardware manufacturers to stress test their surge protection, but let's be real, in the wrong hands, this is a $55 tool that can cause thousands of dollars in property damage in the blink of an eye. Number 17, listen through wall contact microphone. $38 thus. Moving from destroying electronics to invading privacy, we arrive at a gadget that turns solid obstacles into audio conductors. We have all seen the movie cliché where a spy holds a glass cup against a door to hear what's happening in the next room. This device takes that physics principle and amplifies it by a factor of 20,000. It is a dedicated contact microphone system designed specifically to eavesdrop through barriers that block human hearing, such as concrete, wood, steel, and drywall. The science here relies on the fact that sound waves actually travel faster and more efficiently through solids than they do through air. When people talk in a closed room, their voices cause minute vibrations in the walls. This gadget uses a highly sensitive piezoelectric sensor, a bug that you press against the wall. The sensor picks up those microscopic mechanical vibrations and converts them back into electrical audio signals. These are then boosted by an onboard amplifier and fed directly into the included headphones. The clarity is disturbing. You can hear conversations, footsteps, and even the subtle sounds of furniture moving from the adjacent room or apartment. The kit often comes with a needle microphone attachment as well, which is designed to be inserted into keyholes or cracks under doors for even direct audio capture. While it is marketed for legitimate uses like detecting water leaks inside pipes or listening for mechanical failures in engines, the design screams surveillance. In many jurisdictions, recording a conversation where you are not a participant is a felony violation of wiretapping laws. Yet, you can buy this listening device for less than the cost of a tank of gas, effectively dissolving the privacy of anyone living next door to you. Number 16, GTFO wrist strap. Price to $18. This next item is so discreet that you could be wearing it while shaking hands with a police officer, and they would likely never notice it. It looks like a simple, woven elastic bracelet, perhaps a hair tie or a cheap friendship band. But woven into that elastic is a small, unassuming bead made of tungsten carbide. This material is one of the hardest substances on Earth, ranking just below diamond on the Mohs hardness scale. The purpose of this bead isn't fashion, it is escape. The device is engineered to shatter tempered glass with barely any force. Tempered glass, which is used for side and rear car windows, is created under immense tension. It is incredibly strong against blunt force. You can hit a car window with a baseball bat and it might just bounce off. However, it has a fatal weakness. A focused pinpoint impact can disrupt the surface tension, causing the entire pane to explosively disintegrate into thousands of safe, pebble-sized pieces. To use it, you take the strap off your wrist, loop it around your thumb and forefinger like a slingshot, pull back the bead, and release it against the window. The result is instant. It was originally designed for first responders and military operators who might need to escape a sinking vehicle or extract someone from a crash. However, because it is silent, lightweight, and doesn't look like a tool, it has become a favorite among car thieves. It allows them to pop a window and grab a backpack or purse without the loud noise of smashing glass. In some states, possessing this without a valid reason, like being an EMT, can get you charged with possession of burglary tools. It is a survival gadget that walks a very fine line between saving a life and facilitating a crime. Number 15, hardware keylogger, $40. In the world of corporate espionage, information is currency, and this device is the ultimate thief. Most people worry about software, viruses, or phishing emails stealing their passwords. They rarely check the back of their computer tower. This gadget is a hardware keylogger, a tiny USB plug that sits between your keyboard's cable and the computer's USB port. It is physically small enough to go unnoticed in a messy nest of cables behind a desk, and once it is plugged in, it becomes a ghost. Unlike software spyware, this device is completely invisible to antivirus programs. Your computer doesn't see it as a new device. It simply passes the electrical signals from the keyboard through to the PC. But as those signals pass through, the keylogger makes a copy of every single keystroke, every password, every email, every confidential memo, and every credit card number and stores it on an internal memory chip. The AirDrive version takes this threat to a whole new level by adding its own Wi-Fi chip. With the Wi-Fi capability, the attacker doesn't even need to come back to retrieve the device. They can simply sit in the parking lot or the lobby, connect to the keylogger's hidden Wi-Fi network using their phone, and download the logs wirelessly. They can even set it up to automatically email the captured keystrokes to them at the end of every day. It effectively bypasses firewalls, two-factor authentication if they catch the backup code, and all network security measures because the attack is happening at the physical layer. It is a stark reminder that if you don't have physical control over your hardware, you don't have security. Number 14, Land Air Sea 54 GPS Tracker. $25 a credit. We live in an age where being followed usually means digital tracking via cookies and ads, but this device brings stalking back to the physical world with terrifying ease. This is a waterproof, puck-sized GPS unit equipped with an incredibly strong industrial magnet. The entire concept is slap and track. Someone can walk past your car in a parking lot, reach underneath the bumper, and attach this device to the chassis in less than 2 seconds. From that moment on, your every movement is being broadcast to their smartphone. The technology inside is impressive. It uses 4G LTE cellular networks to transmit its location, meaning it works anywhere your phone has service. The app allows for geofencing, which is a feature where the user draws a digital boundary on a map, say, around your workplace or house. If the tracker crosses that line, the stalker gets an instant push notification. They don't even have to watch the screen. The robot tells them when you are on the move. The battery life is the other game changer here. It can last for weeks on a single charge depending on the update frequency. There is also a dark mode where the lights on the device turn off, making it visually undetectable if you look under the car at night. While it is marketed for legitimate uses, tracking fleet vehicles, keeping tabs on teenage drivers, or theft recovery for expensive equipment, the reality is that a huge portion of these are sold to suspicious spouses and private investigators. It raises massive legal questions about expectation of privacy. In many states, placing this on a car you don't own or share a title for is a crime, yet the barrier to entry is just $25 and a monthly subscription fee. Number 13, Manual Lockpick Snap Gun. Price $25 with. Lockpicking is generally considered a skill that takes patience, practice, and a delicate touch. You have to learn the feel of the pins, the tension of the barrel, and the feedback of the mechanism. This tool, however, removes the need for skill entirely and replaces it with brute physics. The snap gun, originally invented for police officers who needed quick entry without kicking down a door, weaponizes a principle of physics similar to a Newton's cradle desk toy. Instead of lifting each pin inside the lock individually to the shear line, this gun uses a trigger-activated metal needle that snaps upward with significant force. When you insert the needle into the keyway and pull the trigger, it strikes all the bottom pins simultaneously. This energy is transferred through the bottom pins to the top driver pins, sending them flying upward while the bottom pins stay relatively still. For a split second, a gap opens up between the pins, the shear line is clear, and if you apply a slight turning pressure at that exact moment, the lock pops open. It is loud, it is aggressive, and it is incredibly effective against standard household pin tumbler locks, the kind found on 90% of front doors in America. While professional locksmiths still use them, they have largely fallen out of favor for electronic tools. However, for a novice looking to bypass a secure door, the snap gun is a cheat code. It turns a process that should take months to master into something you can do after watching a 5-minute YouTube tutorial. In the eyes of the law in many jurisdictions, walking around with one of these in your pocket is functionally no different than walking around with a crowbar and a ski mask. Number 12, Digispark Atney 85. $12. Pack of 3. If the USB killer we discussed earlier is a sledgehammer, the Digispark is a master key made of lightning. At first glance, this tiny circuit board looks like a broken piece of a larger computer or a very cheap unfinished USB drive. It has no casing, just exposed contacts and a small black chip. But do not let the raw aesthetic fool you. This is one of the most cost-effective bad USB tools on the planet, a favorite entry-level device for hackers and penetration testers. The genius of the Digispark lies in its identity crisis. When you plug a normal USB drive into a computer, the computer recognizes it as mass storage. However, when you plug the Digispark in, it tells the computer, "I am a keyboard." Computers are programmed to trust human interface devices like keyboards implicitly. They don't scan keyboards for viruses because keyboards are just supposed to type letters. The Digispark exploits this trust. It is a computer that pretends to be a human typing at superhuman speeds. You can pre-program this chip with a script. The moment it connects to a USB port, it waits a few milliseconds for the drivers to load and then it executes its payload. It can open the run dialog, type in a command to disable the Windows Defender firewall, download a malicious file from a remote server, execute it, and close the window all in under 2 seconds. Before the victim even realizes a window popped up, the deed is done. It can change wallpapers, steal Wi-Fi passwords and email them to you, or install a backdoor for remote access. For $12, you get a 3-pack of these. That means you can drop them in a parking lot, leave them in a coffee shop, or slip one into the back of a library computer. It is a terrifying example of how fragile our digital security really is. We build massive firewalls to stop hackers over the internet, but we leave the front door wide open for a $12 chip that simply politely asks to be let in. Number 11. House Bell Bionic Ear. $50. Privacy is effectively dead when you own this device. The House Bell Bionic Ear is a consumer-grade parabolic microphone, a piece of technology that was once the exclusive domain of wildlife researchers and FBI surveillance vans. The physics behind it are fascinating and frighteningly effective. It uses a clear plastic dish to capture sound waves from a wide area and reflect them toward a central focal point where a high-sensitivity microphone is waiting. This shape acts like a lens for sound. Just as a magnifying glass focuses light to burn a leaf, this dish focuses audio to amplify distant whispers into clear speech. The manufacturer claims a range of about 300 feet, but with a clear line of sight and the right atmospheric conditions, users have reported picking up conversations from even further away. It comes with a built-in monocular sight, a zoomed-in viewfinder, so you can visually target exactly what or who you want to listen to. Imagine sitting on a park bench and clearly hearing the argument happening inside a car across the parking lot. Or sitting on your porch and listening to the conversation your neighbors are having in their backyard 3 houses down. The device also features a frequency controller, allowing you to filter out low-end rumble like traffic noise to focus on the higher frequencies of humans is a minefield. While owning the device is legal, using it violates expectation of privacy laws in almost every state. If you record a conversation where you are not a party to the talk, you are committing a felony in 2-party consent states. It turns you into a walking surveillance state, capable of stealing secrets, affairs, and private moments from a football field away, all for the price of a nice dinner. Number 10. Auto Jiggler Key Set. $15. We have talked about bypassing digital locks, but what about the 2-ton steel machine sitting in your driveway? The Auto Jiggler set is a collection of keys that look like they have been melted or filed down into smooth, wavy patterns. They don't look like any specific car key, and that is exactly the point. They are designed to exploit the mechanical tolerances of older vehicle locks and many modern utility compartments. These are known in the trade as try-out keys. Car manufacturers, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, only used a finite number of key combinations. Furthermore, as car locks age, the internal wafers wear down and become loose. The jiggler works by inserting it into the keyway and applying a subtle rocking or vibrating motion while turning. The wavy pattern of the key acts like a kinetic wave, bumping the wafers inside the lock up and down rapidly. Statistically, if you jiggle it right, there is a moment where all the wafers align at the shear line and the lock turns. This tool is notorious because it requires zero skill. Unlike picking a house lock, which is an art form, using a jiggler is just brute force probability. It works terrifyingly well on older Fords, Chevys, Toyotas, and almost all filing cabinets, camper shells, and trailer hitches. While modern cars have transponder chips that prevent the engine from starting even if the lock turns, a jiggler will still get you inside the cabin to steal the stereo, the airbag, or anything left on the seat. Possession of these without a locksmith license is considered possession of burglary tools in many jurisdictions, a charge that can land you in jail just for having them in your pocket during a traffic stop. Number 9. Hollow Spy Coin US Quarter. Price $25. This is without a doubt the coolest piece of physical spy gear on this list because it hides in the most common object imaginable. You probably have a handful of quarters in your pocket or your car's cup holder right now. You would never suspect that one of them is actually a precision-engineered safe. The hollow spy coin is made from 2 actual US quarters that have been machined down with incredible precision. The engineering is so precise that even if you drop it on a table, it sounds mostly like a normal coin. The tails side of the coin is actually a lid that fits snugly into the hollowed-out head side. To open it, you need a special opening ring, a small device that you slam the coin against to pop the seal. Without that ring, it is nearly impossible to open with your bare hands, ensuring that if you accidentally hand it to a cashier, they won't discover the secret. What fits inside? A micro SD card fits perfectly. This allows you to physically smuggle gigabytes of encrypted data across borders into prisons or out of secure corporate facilities. It can also hold microfilms, small doses of poison if you're living in a movie, or SIM cards. It is the ultimate security through obscurity. You could be searched by the police, have your pockets emptied, and have them look right at the evidence without ever seeing it. It is a relic of Cold War tradecraft that you can order on Amazon Prime, perfect for the paranoid person who needs to keep their digital life physically hidden. Number 8. ZACTool ZT 14 Universal Handcuff Key. Price? To $9. Earlier, we discussed the police-grade handcuffs you can buy. Now, let's talk about the key that opens them. Most people assume that every pair of handcuffs has a unique key, like a front door. That would be a logistical nightmare for police. If an officer arrests a suspect and then hands them over to the jail transport, the transport officer needs to be able to take the cuffs off. Because of this, almost all standard law enforcement handcuffs in the US, UK, and Canada use the exact same standard key. The ZACTool ZT14 is an upgraded tactical version of this universal key. Unlike the tiny flimsy silver keys that come with the cuffs, the ZT14 is made of heat-treated composite materials or high-strength polymer, designed to look like a standard pen clip. It fits discreetly in a shirt pocket, clipped to a belt, or hidden in a boot. It is black, low profile, and extremely durable. The scary reality is that for $9, anyone can own the tool that undoes a lawful arrest. It is a favorite item for preppers and survivalists who fear unlawful detention, but it is also a staple for criminals. The design allows for much easier manipulation than a standard key, meaning you can operate it with fewer fine motor skills, crucial if your hands are shaking from adrenaline. While owning it is legal, using it to escape custody adds a massive felony charge to your rap sheet. It is a symbol of defiance against authority, disguised as a piece of plastic. Number 7. Handheld RFID writer, 125 kHz, $15. In the modern world, metal keys are being replaced by plastic cards and fobs. Your apartment building, your office elevator, your gym, and your parking garage all likely use RFID, radio frequency identification. You tap the card, it beeps, and the door opens. We trust this system to keep strangers out. This $15 gadget proves that trust is misplaced. This handheld gun-style device is an RFID cloner. It is incredibly simple to operate. It has 2 buttons, read and write, and 3 LEDs. You hold a target's key fob, maybe you borrowed it from a coworker, or your valet has your keys for 5 minutes against the side of the gun and press read. The device scans the 125 kHz frequency, captures the unique ID code from the fob, and stores it in memory. It beeps to confirm success. This takes about 1 second. Then you take a blank tag. The kit usually comes with 5 or 10 of them. Hold it to the device and press write. Another beep and another second later, you have a perfect, functioning clone of the original key. The system at the door cannot tell the difference. It sees the same binary code and unlocks the magnetic latch. Burglars love these because they don't leave physical signs of forced entry. Stalkers use them to get access to apartment complexes. Corporate spies use them to access secure floors. The technology is so accessible and so fast that it renders the standard low-frequency access control systems completely obsolete. If your building uses those thick, clamshell-style proximity cards, you are vulnerable to a $15 toy that can clone your identity in the time it takes to sneeze. Number 6. Invisible ink pen with UV light. Price to $7. We are starting the final countdown with something that feels like it belongs in a cereal box prize from the 1,990 seconds, but is actually a highly effective tool for covert communication in the physical world. While we live in an era of encrypted messaging apps like Signal and Telegram, digital footprints are always traceable. Physical encryption, however, requires physical presence to crack. This pen uses a proprietary fluorescent ink compound that is completely transparent under normal ambient light. You can write on paper, walls, skin, or even fabric, and to the naked eye, the surface looks completely untouched. The magic happens when you engage the ultraviolet UV light diode built into the cap of the pen. The ink contains phosphors that react specifically to UV wavelengths, glowing a bright neon blue-violet. This is the exact same technology used by TSA to check for fake IDs and by banks to verify currency, but here it is weaponized for secret messaging. Why is this on an illegal gadget list? Because it is the primary tool used for marking property in theft rings and for passing secure notes in restricted environments like prisons or exam halls. Burglars will often use these pens to mark houses they have scouted, leaving a small X on a mailbox or a door frame that is invisible to the homeowner but glows bright for their accomplices coming back at night with UV flashlights. It is also used to mark genuine items in a sea of counterfeits. If you are selling high-value sneakers or electronics, marking them with an invisible signature ensures that a buyer can't swap your product for a fake and return it. It is a $7 insurance policy that relies on the fact that most people never look at the world through ultraviolet light. Number 5. Smoked license plate cover. $15. If you drive on any highway in America, you have likely seen this next gadget, and you might have even cursed the person using it. This is a tinted polycarbonate shield that screws over your vehicle's license plate. The manufacturers market it as a protector designed to keep your plate clean from mud, bugs, and weather, or to prevent the paint from fading in the sun. They claim the smoke tint is just for a sleek aesthetic look. That is a lie. The true purpose of this cover is to defeat ALPR, automatic license plate recognition systems, and red light cameras. The plastic is engineered with a specific level of polarization and diffusion. When you look at the plate from directly behind, like a police car following you, it is usually legible. However, red light cameras and toll booth cameras are often positioned at high angles. From an angle, the smoked plastic becomes opaque, blurring the numbers or creating a glare that washes out the camera's sensor. This is arguably the most illegal item on this entire list in terms of daily enforcement. In almost every single U.S. state, obstructing a license plate is a traffic violation. In some states, merely having a frame that covers the word state is a finable offense. Yet, Amazon sells thousands of these every month. They exist in a massive legal loophole where selling them is legal as a novelty or off-road use only item, but installing them on a street-legal car is a crime. It is a $15 middle finger to the surveillance state, designed to let drivers ghost through toll roads and speed traps without leaving a paper trail. Number 4, portable voice changer. $30 diff. Here is the pocket-sized anonymity tool we teased in the beginning. In the age of AI and deepfakes, we often forget that sometimes the simplest disguise is the most effective. This device connects via a standard 3.5mm audio jack to your smartphone, gaming controller, or computer microphone. It doesn't require software installation or complex drivers. It is a hardware-based signal processor that manipulates the pitch and formant of your voice in real time. With the push of a button, you can shift your voice from male to female, female to male, or to a childlike pitch. It also includes monster and robot modes, which sound gimmicky, but the gender-swapping algorithms are surprisingly effective over a phone line where audio quality is already compressed. Scammers and social engineers use these religiously. If a male hacker wants to impersonate a female secretary to gain access to a corporate account, this $30 dongle bridges the biological gap instantly. The illegal usage here is tied to harassment and fraud. Vishing, voice phishing, is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry. By masking their true voice, criminals can make threatening calls, demand ransoms, or run grandparent scams where they pretend to be a confused grandchild in legal trouble with a much higher success rate. It removes the unique biometric identifier of your voice, making you acoustically anonymous. It is a chilling reminder that on the internet, nobody knows who you really are, and with this, they won't even know what you sound like. Number 3, digital voice recorder USB flash drive. $22, and we have covered hidden cameras and contact mics, but this gadget is the king of workplace surveillance because it hides in the most boring object on a desk, a USB drive. We all have 5 or 6 of these rattling around in our drawers. They are invisible by virtue of being ubiquitous. Nobody picks up a USB drive and thinks, "Is this listening to me?" But this one is. Inside the casing, alongside the standard memory chip, is a high-fidelity microphone and a long-life lithium battery. It has a tiny, almost invisible switch on the side. When you slide it, the device enters voice activation mode. It doesn't just record silence and waste battery, it waits. As soon as it detects sound, a conversation, a door opening, a phone ringing, it starts recording. When the sound stops, it goes back to sleep. This allows it to monitor a room for days on a single charge. This is the nuclear option for office politics and domestic disputes. You can leave it plugged into the back of a TV, sitting on a desk, or attached to a keychain. It captures clear audio from 20 feet away. The files are stored as standard WAV or MP3S, so to listen, you just plug it into a computer like a normal drive. It is widely used to catch cheating spouses, record verbal abuse from bosses, or steal trade secrets during confidential meetings. Legally, this is a wiretapping device. If you plant this in a room you are not in, you are committing a felony in most jurisdictions. It is a spy tool that relies on the victim's assumption that a USB drive is just for storage, not for surveillance. Number 2. Hack RF1 plus PortaPack H2. Price to $220. This is the heavy hitter. If the other gadgets on this list are pistols, the Hack RF1 is a bazooka. It is a software-defined radio peripheral, capable of receiving and transmitting radio signals from 1 MHz to 6 GHz. That frequency range is staggering. It covers everything from FM radio, police dispatch, aircraft transponders, and garage door openers to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS signals. When you add the PortaPack H2, a touchscreen and battery add-on, it becomes a standalone handheld device that doesn't even need a computer. With this, you can capture the signal from a car's key fob when the owner unlocks it, store that signal, and then replay it later to unlock the car yourself. This is known as a replay attack. It can receive weather satellite images directly from space as they fly overhead. It can mimic the signal of a pager system. It can even transmit false GPS coordinates to confuse drones or navigation systems, a highly illegal act known as GPS spoofing. The Hack RF1 is essentially a skeleton key for the invisible world of radio waves. It was built for engineers to test and develop modern radio technologies, but in the hands of a bad actor, it exposes just how insecure our wireless world is. Most wireless devices, especially older ones like garage doors and gate arms, blindly trust any signal on the right frequency. The Hack RF1 exploits that blind trust. It is powerful, expensive, and requires some technical knowledge to use, but it grants you godlike control over the electromagnetic spectrum. Number 1. Signal blocking key box, Faraday box. Price to $18? We end this list not with a tool for attack, but with a tool for defense absolute. Uncompromising defense. In a world where every device is tracking you, listening to you, and pinging your location to a server, the only way to truly opt out is to physically block the signals. This box is a Faraday cage. It is lined with conductive materials, usually copper, nickel, and silver mesh that create a continuous conductive shield around whatever is inside. When you close the lid, you are creating a black hole for radio frequency, RF signals. Physics dictates that external static electrical fields cause the electric charges within the cage's conducting material to be distributed such that they cancel the field's effect in the cage's interior. In plain English, nothing gets in and nothing gets out. If you put your phone in here, it instantly loses all connection. No GPS, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no 4G, 5G. It cannot be tracked by the police, it cannot be pinged by cell towers, and it cannot be hacked remotely. If you put your car keys in here, criminals cannot use signal boosters to amplify your key fob signal from inside your house to steal your car, a common attack known as relay theft. This box represents the nuclear option for privacy. It is used by high-profile targets to prevent espionage during meetings, by criminals to transport stolen phones without them being tracked, and by everyday people who just want to make sure their car stays in their driveway. For $18, it buys you the one thing that is becoming impossible to find in the 21st century: silence. There you have it, 24 gadgets that blur the line between utility, security, and felony. Whether you are looking to secure your home, test your network, or just prank your friends with military-grade smells, the internet has you covered. Just remember, having the tool is one thing. How you use it defines whether you are a tech enthusiast or a defendant. If you enjoyed this deep dive, check the description for the links to everything we mentioned. Stay safe, stay legal, and I'll see you in the next one.